I cut my hair, and it's fucking cold. Okay, enough of that, enough off topic, let's talk about Gundam. So, this episode of Gundam was, as you can classify it, as a breather episode. It was an episode with the calm before the storm. Judging by the preview of next week's episode, it's going to be an action-orientated episode that's going to have pedal to the metal of stuff we have seen for these past couple episodes of this Gundam series, Blood Orphan. So I am looking forward to that, but I do respect a series that knows when to take a breather. So once again, my respect to Gundam, it's at an all-time high. I love the bromance in this, and the way this episode tried to give characterization and giving some character development to some of our characters. For instance, Mika, you have it to where you get to see how he takes the initiative to want to learn to read and write. And I never really thought about that much. I don't think majority of us probably have thought about that, unless you're a huge Gundam fan. Most likely you already pegged this and figured it out. But since I'm new to Gundam, I didn't really think much about how all the children that are working in this facility, you know, the Tekadon, all these children that are kind of war children, they probably don't know how to read or write. And then when this was mentioned in this episode, I'm like, oh shit, that makes a lot of sense. Because, I mean, you know, they've been growing up, working like they are, and then, you know, there was no reason to probably learn how to read or write because you had these adults, you know, manning everything, and they were just doing the hard labor. So, when you think about that, it makes a lot of sense. So, I gotta give, once again, respect to this Gundam series for keeping it realistic and keeping it engaging enough where it kind of keeps it down to earth. And to see how Mika takes the initiative to want to learn how to read and write, it shows you how he wants to progress as a person, but also he's going towards his own goal in sight. I like a character that has a motive, and I definitely like a character that's stone cold, but also has a motive. For instance, as we know, I've talked about it already, Mika is a cold son of a bitch. I mean, he's killed quite a few people already in this series without even batting an eye, which goes to show you that cold side to him. And when you know this character, when he says in this episode, like, he wants to start up like a garden and stuff, and he wants to be able to read some books, it's a really noble type of motive that you would never expect coming from a character like that was able to kill like an old man in episode 2 like nothing. Like, he just shoots an old man in the middle of his speech. So seeing a character like that say, like, they just want to have a happy time on, like, a garden and, you know, have their own farm or garden or whatever, you're like, whoa, that's just, like, it's something you would not expect from that type of character, but I respect that noble goal. So I do hope before the series ends, or when it does end, Mika gets his dream come true. Like, hopefully he gets what he wants, and he'll be able to live the remainder of his days on a farm and have, you know, a peaceful time, probably sitting in a rocking chair just going back and forth, and while he grows old. And Orga, you also get to see his perspective and how he views his relationship with Mika the entire time. Now, we already know that Mika and Orga had this complicated relationship between each other since the very beginning of the series. We see, like, little hints at this, and even in the opening song, you see hints at it as well. But it really was demonstrated in this episode when you see it to how Orga and Mika and their chemistry with each other and how they were communicating, especially in that scene to where Orga was talking, like, Mika has those eyes. He's always staring at me. He's always looking at me. He's always moving forward. He's always trying to learn, get better. And then when he looks at me, he's like, what are you going to do next? How are you going to impress me next? What type of fun are we going to have next? And when you see this dialogue from Orga and how he's talking about this, we come to find out what type of role Orga has when it comes to being as a character in the series and how Mika looks at him as a person. So Orga, he's having to put on a face. Like, he's putting on a mask to be able to always look strong or bold in front of Mika. He wants to be this character or this person that is strong, doesn't really have any weaknesses, and always knows what to do. That's what type of person he wants to be, or how he wants Mika to perceive him. Because you see it time and time again in the past couple episodes, which I didn't think about much. You find out that Mika views Orga as someone that can never be wrong, or he always will figure it out. He has always a plan. He knows what to do. And there probably will come a time, I think, in the series where Orga is going to fail. He's probably going to fail. He's going to fuck up somewhere, and then you're gonna have to where Mika's probably gonna realize this, and maybe something is gonna happen between these two characters, and something is gonna be just tumbling down and breaking, and the pillars that support these two might just crash and burn. So I could see something like that happening in the future for possible character development with these two characters, but also in a way for both of these characters can grow and kind of learn to be better friends. I could see something like that happening. So, I mean, this episode of Gundam, as I already kind of expressed in this video, very engaging. Even though it lacked action, it was a very engaging episode because of the development it had with it, along with the characterization. Now, another thing I do want to mention, I'm loving how Kudelia, she's taking the initiative as well to try to help out around. She doesn't want to be useless, she wants to help them out. Even though she is the person that's being escorted to Earth, she doesn't, I guess, actually really need to help. If you think about it, she's hiring Tekadon to escort her, and in all right, she is going to pay them eventually, so it's not really like she really needs to help them out, but she feels guilty about that, which goes to show you also what type of person she is. She's not a person to really just sit around and watch people do work for her. She wants to also help the people around her. She wants to take charge and like, here, I'll help you out distributing food, stuff like that. So it shows you what type of role she has and what type of person she is, and probably how she will lead the people in the future. Now, one last thing I also want to get into, we have it to where our characters are trying to debate on how they can get to Earth safely, and they're trying to make a communication, like talk with this Mafia that's somewhere near Jupiter. And when you think about the Mafia, I don't think that's going to end too well, especially when you kind of find out the princess is there, and they find out the princess is there. Probably some type of shady business is going to go on that it's probably not going to be good at all. So, there's probably going to be some issues with that. But for now, we have another issue blooming in the end of this episode. So I can't wait to see where it's going to go. And tell me your thoughts in the comments below. How do you all feel about this week's episode of Gundam? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.